There's a new American gangsters, cause we speak bold, give no fuck about the haters. It can take freedom from a cold dead hands. We're locked in low for the last days. Cause we're the new American gangsters, ready to die for this man.
This is a little more straight than that. New gender.
Ready to die for this land.
Welcome to the Patriot Punkcast. I'm your host, Chase Matheson, and you can tell it's election season. There has been a voting machine company president indicted by the Department of Justice for bribery charges. We're going to get all into that and how it relates to the state of Tennessee. And among that, there's a lot of other really controversial things going on right now. If you are on Twitter or social media, it is a colossal storm, we'll say, while we're on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to try to bridge that gap tonight. We're going to try to bring everybody back to earth, kind of ground everyone just a little bit, focus on some of the important things, and possibly build a little bit of a bridge to some of the middle of the road people, some of the people who are not as involved in the political sphere as we are, because as you all know, there's no changing someone who is 100% set in their ways mind. What we have to do this election season is change people's minds who are in the middle or who might not be excited about voting. That is how we win. On the agenda to discuss tonight, we have quite a few things. There is let's call some gender bender issues with a teacher out in Johnson County. There is, so if you know anyone in Johnson County, please share this show with them. We've also got an issue that it's not necessarily political, but it strikes home for myself and for a lot of other people. There is a man in Mount Juliet lost in space. There's a bunch of other things that we're going to discuss tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. Joining me in this endeavor is my good friend and podcast buddy, Daniel Wagner.
Hey, what's up, Chase?
Not a whole lot, Daniel. How are you?
It's like it's been a whole week since we spoke last.
It's almost been that long. If only I could get so lucky.
These weeks have been going by faster and faster. I'm telling you, it honestly felt like a couple days ago we just did a live show, and here we are again Sunday night. Yep.
So joining us to discuss this is someone who is still in the election, and this is candidate John Gentry out of the District 18. John, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm John Gentry. I'm running for state senate for District 18, Sumner and Trousdale County. In the primary race for the party candidates, we saw a vicious campaign and a lot of spending money out there. Farrell Hale's campaign spent between the PACs and Hale's campaign probably over $1 million, and a lot of flyers, vicious flyers, personally attacking the other candidate, Chris Spencer. And on Spencer's side, probably a couple $100,000 of spending in that primary race. What an incredible waste of money. And I hope to talk to you about that later and what I'm doing with my campaign. But what I'm about is teaching the people literally how to take back power and how to take back control of our government through rights in our state constitution. You know, Article 1, Section 1, we have a right to reform government. Section 23, we have a right to instruct representatives. Section 31, we have the right to exercise sovereignty, the only state constitution specifically enumerating the right of the people to exercise sovereignty. And what my work is not about party politics. You know, I'm about teaching the people about constitutional rights and the processes laid down by the founders to exercise those rights and assert our power and regain control of our government. That's what the heart of my work is about, that and taking down corruption in our state government. And as a citizen like you guys, I've already got almost a dozen corrupt judges removed from office. So that's what I'm about, is restoring accountability of state officials, including judges and members of our General Assembly, high-ranking state officials, holding them to the Constitution, holding them to the law. And that's what I'm about, Chase. And I hope people take a look at the work that I'm doing. I am not all talk. I mean, you can go to my website and literally see me fighting in the courts and legislative houses.
If you want to type that website into the chat, we'll make sure Daniel posts it, or into the private chat we've got. We'll make sure Daniel gets that into the comments. We've had you on before. Maybe we've got some new people watching. Hopefully we do. We had Chris Spencer on just a few weeks ago. It was I think he had a hard-fought campaign, but it's tough to beat the establishment. I think, and I think we're going to get into a little bit of why that is the case. So before we get started, got to handle just a little bit of business. As you know, we are entirely self-supported, so we rely on viewer support. We need you not only to support us with news tips, reporting corruption. If you know any stories, anything like that, please send them to us. But if one of your stories happens to be the corrupt bubble that we are trying to burst, you might find it listed on our website, patriotpunknetwork.com. There you can find out we've got news, videos, all sorts of stuff. I know Daniel's bringing that up right now. And while you're there, there's a lot of news articles up there that are pertinent for long-term use. They either describe the way things are done, they might show you a sneaky trick that a local school board did, and it gives, I think, the reason I cover these local stories is so that you can kind of see the playbook that these people put together. We've got bot farms, we've got cover-ups of sex scandals, we've got all sorts of stuff. And while you're over there, so, share those around. Even if it's a few years old, we've got all sorts of election stories that are actually becoming more and more pertinent. And we're actually probably going to discuss some of those tonight. While you're there, you can also check out the video tab and look at some of our other videos, everything from comedy to investigative pieces, things like that. You can also click on the support tab if you would like to become a monthly member. Monthly members are going to get access, early release to a new little podcast series that we that I'm working on, something on a more national front, so that maybe we can grow the audience and stuff like that. And let's say you're not in a position to contribute monthly, or you're already a monthly contributor, nothing stops you from going ahead and dropping us a one-time tip to buy a pizza, cup of coffee, or put some gas in the car. This obviously does not pay all of the bills, so we've also decided to sponsor ourselves in a slightly different way. I recently reactivated my authorized Kirby dealer agreement, and now I am once again, although I've been in it my entire life, I am now the man with the Kirby plan. So we're going to play a little video right there and then get started. Into your carpets. I want you to imagine that we took a brand new white towel, placed it over the carpet in the entrance to your bedroom, or on that area rug in front of the couch. With the amount of traffic that your home gets, how long would it be before that towel was so dirty that you had to wash it? Now I want you to think, what's the difference between that towel and the carpet or the rug beneath it? Not much, but it's much harder to throw the carpet in the washing machine. But with a Kirby home care system, you don't have to. Having been made in America for 110 years, the Kirby company has figured out exactly what it takes to clean your home. Utilizing a dry foam shampoo that doesn't soak your carpets, you can shampoo whenever you need to. There's no need to move the furniture, and there's no need to wait for a sunny day where you can open the windows and let everything dry. All you have to do is lay the suds, wait a few minutes, and then fluff them dry. It also cleans hardwood, tile, linoleum, and more. If you're in Tennessee and would like to take a look at one, we believe you deserve the chance to see the machine work in your home before you make your purchase. Schedule your appointment today by visiting our website at midtnkirby.com. That's midtnkirby.com. In all fairness, that website has not finished redirecting yet. It should be by tomorrow, and we will be getting more of the infrastructure for that built out and in place. So we appreciate you guys supporting the show. Now let's get into the interesting stuff. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we're only going to talk about the first story, then we're going to cut y'all off. So go ahead and hop on over to Rumble, where you can be part of the conversation and we can read your chats in the middle of the show. The first thing I really want to discuss tonight is a Fox News article that you sent us, John. And it is referencing a lot of quotes from Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch, Neil Gorsuch. There we go. Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch worries about Americans caught by surprise by unreasonable laws. Now, this is quite a long article, so we're not going to read the entire thing, but I think it's important that we highlight some important parts from it. So it starts off, Supreme Court Associate Justice Neil Gorsuch is worried about the explosion of laws in America. In his new book, Overruled, The Human Toll of Too Much Law, co-written with Janie Nietzsche, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, he says that when reflecting on all his years as a judge, he realized that I had seen so many cases where the sheer volume and complexity of our laws had swallowed up ordinary people. He goes on to say that, obviously laws are important, but he thinks about all of the people who got caught in the middle just by living their lives. Business owners, you've got entrepreneurs, farmers, ranchers, people like that have gotten caught up. And he's quoted as saying, as a judge, my job is to apply the law. The best I can do is share with you what I have seen from my unusual vantage point in our legal system. He's definitely onto something there.
Well, and what concerns me most about this is the targeting of people. There are so many laws out there that it is impossible to know what you should and should not do. And let me give you a couple of examples. One of them of my own. I was licensed 20 years as a certified public accountant in the state of Maryland. And for over 20 years, it is habit for me, or it became habit for me, to sign my name, John A. Gentry, CPA. That was just a habit for me because I was licensed for so many years. I have a job now that doesn't require CPA certification. And so I haven't renewed my CPA license. You got to get a bunch of hours. And I just haven't had time because I've been fighting corruption in our government so long. And I started signing, my Facebook posts, John Gentry, CPA. Well, somebody that doesn't like me, probably somebody in the corrupt legal profession, they reported me to the Board of Accountancy. And it's actually a misdemeanor crime, up to 30 days in jail if you're putting yourself out there as a certified public accountant and you're not. Now, I wasn't presenting myself for CPA services. I was just saying, I've been licensed as a certified public accountant, and I had just let my licensing lapse at the time. And so if government really wanted to come after me, they could have prosecuted me, and I would have had to, fight that in court. I won't hire an attorney, but most people, would have to spend $10,000 or $20,000 on attorney. Another example, there was this gentleman who was getting viciously torn through our corrupt family court here in Tennessee. And so they put a restraining order against him that he couldn't keep firearms. Like, guy hadn't done anything. They just harassing him through the court system. And they knew that they didn't serve process on him. He didn't know that he had a restraining order against him. He went down to Texas to go hunt pigs, and he brought a silencer with him. And he came across state lines with a silencer, and they knew that they couldn't get him in state court, so they put him in federal court. And because he was crossing state lines, it was a federal issue. He's just hunting pigs, down in Texas. And the guy's doing like 8 years in federal prison right now. And the only thing he did is he went to hunt hogs down in Texas, and crossed state lines with a silencer. But because he had a restraining order that he didn't know about to not have armed, not to keep firearms, they prosecuted him and it tacked up his sentence. He's doing prison time now.
I'm curious. I'm curious in that situation, because leftists are always saying that, borders are just imaginary lines that don't mean anything. So, but they want more gun laws. So I had that thought in the middle of that. And I just think that that's interesting. Do they believe that transporting a firearm or something should be illegal across state lines, but that transporting people across international borders shouldn't be illegal?
But guys, let's be real. You guys know that ignorance of the law is no excuse. And not only do you have to be well-versed in the law in your own state, but you have to be well-versed in the laws of all the states. And is the public education system going to teach you? Absolutely not.
The problem is, Chase, you were just talking about earlier, we went from like 14,000 pages of Tennessee code annotated to 40,000 pages. How do you possibly know?
Can you bring those two pictures I just sent you in Telegram up, Daniel? Because there's a visual representation, and the visual representation is a couple of years old now.
And
I remember seeing this on probably Facebook, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. So I was doing show prep for this. I decided to look up, not that one, go to the first one. Okay. There's two in that. So this is an article from 2002 from the Nashville Scene. Now, I'm not saying the Nashville Scene is the most reputable station, but they started off this headline with, all told, the volunteer state has 29 volumes of rules and regulations totaling about 14,500 pages. Now that's a lot. That's a lot of pages. But when you think about it, okay, whatever. Well, now when we go to this next picture from Spike Cohen, posted June 25th, 2021, this is Justin. Justin is 6'1", and he's being dwarfed by Tennessee law. Tennessee has 41,675 pages of laws, not including thousands of pages of orders and regulations. That's over 41,000 pages. Now show this picture real quick, and then John, go ahead.
And you're saying, ignorance excuses no man. I completely disagree, and I'll give you another example. William Lamberth sponsored legislation. It was enacted that if you're a candidate for office and you make a false statement about another candidate, then it's a misdemeanor crime subject to 30 days in jail.
Who is that? Who said that?
William Lamberth. I think he's District 44. He's up in Portland, Tennessee. So he and I can almost guarantee you that Lamberth sponsored that legislation specifically targeting me, because Lamberth doesn't like me because he's an attorney, and I point out the gross rampant corruption that's going on in our court system out there. And so, you talk about ignorance excuses no man. I keep track of stuff like that, but who is supposed to know that what is a civil tort for libel or slander is now a criminal misdemeanor subject to 30 days in jail? And this is what they're doing with our laws. They're using it to start to target specific people. Well, and we look at
John, you said you didn't know? You didn't know about that, John? I did. I knew about that one.
No, I knew about it because I keep track of what Lamberth and some of these other politicians, the legislation that they're sponsoring. I know the snakes in there, and I keep an eye on what they're doing out there. But, there is no public benefit to turning a civil tort action of libel to slander into a criminal action. And the other,
not just that. I think Daniel was being facetious when he says that. But that's 41,000 pages. Just for those of you who are not watching, that it's about 8 foot tall. I had to Google, and I know friends don't let friends that use Google, but I Googled how tall that many pages would be, and it would be 15 foot tall. So those must be printed on front and back. That would explain the approximate height. But what was the second point you were trying to make, John?
Well, and like you look at the New York fraud case against Trump. He's denied a trial. It's not provided for in that kind of case, which is completely unconstitutional. So there's lots of examples where those in power, they can find a law to go after you with, and we should all be concerned about this, because if you become a target for them, they come after you for it. And this is happening across the country, across the states, and through the federal government. It's, what this is, I call it's the death of 1,000 cuts. Every time they go down there and they pass 1,000 new pieces of legislation every year. And in a lot of that legislation, they're creating new crimes that are victimless, and they're creating
new taxes.
And a big part of it is increasing sentencing guidelines. And who makes the money off of all of this? When you create a new crime, now you got more people going to jail, and you got our private prison corporations now have the new revenue stream coming to them from this legislation that's being enacted. People have to hire attorneys to defend themselves in court, so the attorneys are making money off of this.
Well, so
and
that is a great point to transition on. We're hitting the part where we got like 12 people, I think, right now watching on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. So if you guys are watching there, we're going to go ahead and bounce on over to Rumble. So please join us over there as we talk about our next story, which is, I view this as building a bridge, because